thank you to everyone who has came out tonight to attend our storytelling workshop. This is actually quite a new thing for me as well. I'm kind of learning as I go. The district has never really done anything of this caliber, so I have nothing to benchmark it against, and I'm just playing it by ear, and I've got lots of helpers out here to help me. But tonight is about the storytelling showcase that's going to happen on June 9th over at the First Baptist Church of Chesterfield. The storytellers throughout the entire district, Toastmasters, is going to be giving stories, and not only to the entire district Toastmasters and their families, but it's going to be open to the public as well. We're advertising in all the local libraries, and we're hoping to get many children and their parents in the door to hear what Toastmasters has to offer. Tonight's event is actually for you as a storyteller, to kind of give you some confidence, give you some ideas on how to put a story together. And the best ones to do it are the presenters that are here tonight. So we'll go straight into Brenda Knight, who's going to present a story for us and a little bit of detail with that. So please welcome Brenda Knight.
Preparations for a humorous speech contest. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, first and foremost, when you are preparing for a humorous speech contest, you must create material that is relatable to any audience. Emphasis, any. In November 2010, I became the District 8 Division B Humorous Speech Contest champion. My first sentence was, "What is said versus what's perceived often becomes misconstrued." That statement alone created an intriguing suspicion. It all started with chronicling two professional men whose total desire was to see me. Just me only. And I was very pleased with that. When giving such a speech, you must use hand, facial gestures, vocal variety, visual prompts, and invisible prompts. What is an invisible prompt, you may be thinking? It is the sheer ability to make the audience visually see in their mind what you wish to convey. These are the tools for efficacious impact. When you are delivering a speech, make sure that you're delivering it regardless of how many times you have told it for the very first time. Simply because it very well may be the very first time an audience member hears it. Pacing and necessary pauses gives your audience an opportunity to laugh without throwing you off in your delivery. During one of my speeches, I told a true story about how my wig was literally thrown to the back seat of the car. Feeling very embarrassed and looking like a treasure trove, I began to think and psychologically pull myself together and pretend that I wasn't embarrassed. I politely got out of that car. I picked the wig up out of the back seat. I shook it in front of the people that were awaiting public transportation. tried to get it together. I clumsily put the wig back on my head, and I proceed to drive home, leaving the people across the street on the ground laughing. It wasn't funny. They were engulfed with the hilarity of it all. If I live to be 100, my wig will never come off my head again. Ladies and gentlemen, I assure you, no one was expecting me to do that. Absolutely no one. Can't you see in your mind those people waiting for the bus when this incident happened? Can't you see how funny it was? After I got back home, I laughed myself. Make sure when you are preparing for a humorous speech that you grab and hold a good mentor. A good mentor will coach. A good mentor will motivate. A good mentor will inspire. A good mentor will not tell you that you are supposed to continue to speak after you won first place in the previous contest. And most of all, when you're giving a speech, enjoy it. Look as though you're having fun. When you do that, your audience will support your mission. I look forward to hearing some very great speeches from you in the near future.
Thank you so much for them inspiring words. Now our next part, before we go into our storytelling basics, I would like to just introduce our storytellers that are here tonight and who's here for the instructions. So first of all, we have Jackie Jones, who's going to be a storyteller. Nancy Jones, who's going to be a storyteller. Willie Blue. Brooke Meadows. Huh?
Not tonight, though, right?
No, not tonight. Brenda English. Dory Drummond. Bob Latman. Diana Ross. Did I forget anybody? Has anybody else come in that's a storyteller? Darlene Suter? Darlene Suter, yes. And is Donna Norman here? Oh, there she is. Donna Norman is also going to be a storyteller. Yes, thank you. So, welcome everyone, and you guys are the stars tonight. Our next section is a storytelling basics, and to help you find sources of stories, even if you have a source already, to kind of give you an idea, maybe you can change it or enhance it in any way. To do that will be Nancy Jones. Please welcome Nancy.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Everybody has a story. We need to listen. That is the whole key. So many people who are new to storytelling do ask, well, what kind of stories? Where do I find them? There are several different types of stories. One of the first is called Who Am I? These are stories that let other people know who you are, what kind of person you have become because of your life. Where might we find some stories about who am I? Anybody? Yes.
Yes.
I have a lot of stories from my family. Trust me, trust me. I have one favorite of my mother. When I teach children 3rd grade coping skills, I would always tell this story to let them know that saying yes is not always the right thing. I was 12 years of age and my mother sat me down. She said, "Nancy Lee," I knew I was in trouble because I got my whole name. She said, "I see something that's going to cause you trouble if you don't do something about it. So I'm going to help you. You're always calling me to bring up your assignments that you've forgotten. So I'm not going to do that anymore." Okay, okay. Well, to her credit, she reminded me several times that month. But you know, sure enough, I forgot a major assignment. So I called my mother and she said, "Now, honey, I told you, I'm not bringing it up." Oh. So I went to my teacher for some commiseration. My teacher said, "I know you. I know it's done. It's not here. You will get a 0. And I boo-hooed some more. But I didn't forget another assignment. Those are some of the stories we all have. So share those. The second kind of story is called, "Why Am I Here?" Anybody have some ideas about those stories? Those are mostly experiential. I had some wonderful experiences finding my first 2 Toastmaster mentors. My first one was Bob Daniels with Plus Factor. Had only met me 2 times, came up to me and he said, "Would you like some constructive comments?" Now I thought, this is unusual, somebody asking if I wanted some criticism. But I said, yes. He said, "You do serious stuff real well. I'd like to challenge you to lighten up." So all that week I thought about it and I thought, I can do this. So the next meeting I went up to him and I said, Bob, I thought about this seriously all week." He said, no, you missed the point." Because I was thinking seriously about it. I said, no, that's not the point. The second mentor was Dick Chadwick. Dick had been treasurer at the district when I first met him. We were having a meeting, don't even remember what it was for. It was over in Fairview Heights. Now I drive, but I insisted that, I tried to find a ride with a friend, and I did. I found out I really didn't have to go to the meeting, but I did. I went over there and I sat down. 5 minutes later, I'm thinking in my mind, why am I here? And I got up and left, and I sat down in the lobby of the hotel where the meeting was. And I thought, what is this? Pretty soon, Dick Chadwick comes out. So the meeting is only 5 minutes old. And he's out here with me, and he spent 2 hours with me talking about his Success Organization series, which I really needed at that point in my life because I was having a lot of interesting things happening at work. So Dick told me things about myself that I hadn't even shared with anybody. He was that observant. So I thought, well, I'm going to put a lot of these things into action. So one of the things he taught me was always put your most important point last. So if you're asking for something, that's what you put last, because people remember what we say last. So I was going to suggest to my boss several things, and the last thing I was suggesting was that he not drop the one school from my assignment. And that's what I wrote. My secretary who typed the letter said, "You're never going to get it." I said, trust me. And that's what he picked. So sometimes when we just sort of have experiences like that, those become wise stories. There are also vision stories. Anybody have some ideas about vision stories?
Something you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Yeah, things that you want to happen, something capable of.
A lot of it we have in business people or in creative thinkers. One book that I found that was extremely good in terms of breaking the creativity barrier was A Kick in the Seat of the Pants and a Whack on the Side of the Head by Bob Oakes out of Silicon Valley. And what those two books do is they take various creative blocks that are common so you can analyze what you have, and then gives you some exercises to overcome them. I was always interested in the one school we had that had an L-shaped health room. We had the desk right in here, so we would always have to write crunched up like this. We did this for 12 years. The school happened to clean the floor and wax it, and they put it on the outside of the L. And Dorothy and I looked at each other like 12 years we sat with that desk in the corner because that's where it was. We just didn't break that barrier. So try to break your own barrier. You will also see creative people like some of the writers that we have nowadays, some of the business people like, Thomas Edison. His experiments have changed the world. Not only the light bulb, but the rubber industry. He also had done a lot with the botanical industry because he could have this vision. And always remember that a teacher does not tell the vision. They invite the student to stand beside them and see the vision for themselves. That is the way to approach the vision stories. Then you have such things as value stories. Anybody have some ideas about where we might find those? Yes. Yes. A lot of literature has stories like this out of the Bible. A lot of the fairy tales were actually written to help kids work through things like values and feelings that they might have that aren't so good, like the evil stepmother. And it's okay to be angry at the evil stepmother in the story. And you don't have to feel guilty when you enjoy that story. Yes, exactly. So that's another good place to find it. The last type of story is called I Know What You're Thinking, because we have shared experiences. And that's the whole key, to tell a story that people connect with, and yet it's uniquely your own. One place that is extremely good to visit is the current Shakespeare at the Park, because what they do is they take the ages-old plays of William Shakespeare, be they tragedy, comedy, whatever, and they may present it in the traditional presentation, or they may place it in a different time frame. They did A Merry Wives of Windsor in a 1930s setting. They did Taming of the Shrew in the 1950s setting. And they had the the icky green kitchens, the avocado green kitchens that we had there. So it was so neat, and everybody's really resonating with this. But it's so fascinating to realize that here is this writer, here is this story that is ageless. And that's what stories are. I would advise people to take advantage of free opportunities. Every May, first Saturday, every May, they have the storytelling finale at the Blanche Hill Theater, and it's free. They have about 8 or 9 of the world's best storytellers. They have mimes, they have signers, they have people from Africa, people from Japan. They had a gentleman from Alaska one time who told his story in the Aleutian dialect, then translated it for the kids so that they would know what it really was about. But it was interesting to hear the way it would have been said in his language and then translated it for us. And he did this in 79-degree weathers in his wedding parka that his mother had made for him, all pelts, animal pelts. So he was just sweating, but he really thoroughly enjoyed and captivated his audience. I would take advantage of going to places where you can practice your own storytelling skills. Kids love to hear stories. Libraries are always looking for people to tell stories. Churches want people to tell stories. So take advantage of those. I taught 3-year-old nursery school. It was a fascinating experience because they are tough audiences to keep their attention. But they really retain a lot. And we learned what was called the Good Shepherd technique. You have people sit in a circle to tell the story. Well, it's very unique. I did this one time at Grand Center. I had adults in business suits, dresses, whatever, sitting on the floor. But if, again, you can break that creative barrier, you can get into story thinking. Because once an adult sits on the floor, they're a kid. They're a kid. And they thoroughly enjoy hearing the stories. I would also just go to listen to different storytellers and get ideas. Everybody has different style. How many people here have heard Sid Moore? Yeah. Sid has such a unique style. Very laid back. He's from Oklahoma. He has the accent. And he is just marvelous the way he does that. Nobody else can do that. And most often people wouldn't be able to do that. But he can. But you can get ideas and see if they work for you. So what I'd like to challenge you to do is go to bookstores, go to story times, and have fun. I'll have these here that you can look at after the meeting.
Thank you, Nancy. Our next portion we put on by Bob Blattman from the Little Hills Toastmasters Club, and he's going to tell us the purpose of pie. Please welcome Bob.
I need some furniture around here. Let me get this out of the way. We are going to be talking about pies. Not the kind you eat, unfortunately. But it looks like a pie anyways. Right here. I got you a pie. How about that? The purpose of public speaking, if you have your new manual that they have out on the competent communicator. In section 3, get to the point, they have this information in here. So you can just copy it out of the book or just remember it from there. Why are we speaking? It's a question. Why do you give a speech? And they suggest that you ask yourself that question before you even start creating the speech. Why am I doing this? If you do that, you'll come up with the way you're going to present it. They suggest that when we give speeches, we do it to give information out. We do it to persuade somebody. We do it to inspire somebody. I put a little S here because we already got the I up here. Or you're just doing it for fun, entertainment. Now this, just give you an idea, this right here is where the stories are at. This is where the humor is at. Like somebody said here this morning, hey, smile. You're having fun. So when you give stories, do it for entertainment. Don't do that much for the other reasons, but have a second. All right, so we have persuasion, informational, entertainment, and inspiration. All right, if you ask your question, why am I giving this speech? I ask my question, why am I giving this speech? Now there's a lot of reasons, and they're on the back of this board, why you give speeches. The point is, if it's not one of these 4, don't give that speech just yet. You're not right. For instance, why am I giving you this speech? I asked that and I said, well, I want to show people how smart I am. And how great of a Toastmaster I am. Now, if I come up there and did that, how long do you think I would hold your attention? Just about as long as I'm getting right now. That's probably what it is. But if I know it's for informational, then I can present it. Now on the informational, now that I know it's informational type information, now I know how to present it. Because under an informational thing, my favorite one is, tell them what you're going to tell them for an opening. You tell them. And then for the closing, you tell them what you told them. So, that's what we're going to do right here. This is an informational speech. I'm trying to show you the 4 reasons to speak. So you write that down. How about that? Let's go on with, so we have a format now, how we're going to do it. Now, on persuasion, this is a good one for sales. It's a good one for politicians, that type of thing. I have a format for that I like to give, and I'm going to give you another one, PREP, P-R-E-P, this is the type of a thing. Under that type of speech, I would tell you my point. What is my point? The reason I feel that way, I'll give you an example, then I'll reinforce it with a point. Now let's take an example. Which way is the best way to put toilet paper on the roll? And then I say, well, let's see. Well, I like it so it comes out from the bottom. So, and the reason why I say that is that when I pull it, I want it to kind of roll and come out, and then I can zip it off. The other problem with this type of thing, as an example, is I have a cat. And that cat gets in there and does this. And if it comes off the top, all of it comes off the top. So I go back to my point now. I like it coming off the bottom. So that is a persuasion. Point, reason, example, point. Very good for table topics, because you got a view on everything. Inspirational type. That's the hardest one. Inspirational speeches, you have to show them the problem first. So in this one, I don't have an acronym for that. You show them the problem. And then you show them there's a better way. There's a way to do it better. You don't have to do it bad. Show them the path to get to the better way. And then as a closing, you just tell them what it's going to be like. A better way. I'll give you an example. I have a problem with red lights. Those red lights know that I'm coming. And they just, there he is, snap it down. And I sit there and I just get angry. I get mad and I'm cussing and swearing at that thing. And it's sitting over there just thinking it's a good old time. Finally it changes and I go screeching wheels and I take off and I'm mad all day long because of that red light. There has to be a better way. There has to be. And one of our Toastmasters told me, he says, you have to change your whole mood. When the light turns red, just start laughing. And just do that. Everybody now, the car's going to be looking over at you, and you're over there. Then as soon as it turns green, you take off. And you know, everybody is going to go to work, and they're going to talk about that idiot laughing in the car. And you're going to feel funny about it. And your day is not going to be ruined. Your day is going to be better. So there is the way you give an inspirational type thing. Give the problem. Give the better path. How to get there. And what it's going to be like at the end. So that's what an inspirational type speech is. Now, I've been reading up on some of these things, and they say, well, mix this together. You don't have, if you're given an informational speech, work in some humor. You can give an informational speech, work in some stories. You can give an informational speech and work in these other ideas. So I'm wondering here, and this is the reason why I came tonight. If you're telling a story, can't you work in these other ideas here also? And I want to see how to do it. So that's my suggestion for the pies. You're going to persuade using prep, informational. Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you told them. Stories and humor and inspiration. Thank you. Go ahead.
I think it just flips.
Yeah, you've done this upside down. Try again.
I cannot see that clock with the glare on it. What time is it?
20 till 8.
Oh, we're way ahead. So we'll go ahead and take a break now for about 10 minutes. You guys mingle and talk, and then we'll get back together in 7:50. Thank you.
Thank you.